everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Sarah.
I'm Eric.
And today we decided to bring Sarah in as a special guest star because we're watching one of her, not even kidding, favorite movies of all time. Are you going to mime this episode? Is it?
No.
And
I'm just trying to bring the energy.
And we made Eric watch The Return of Captain Invincible, a movie that sounds like a sequel but is not. And this is a movie, this is a superhero movie that came out in the mid-'80s. I said 86. I think it's, and I always do this, I look at the back of the box, it's not going to be on the back of the box. It's...
According to the Roman numerals at the end of the movie, it was 87.
87, okay. And, this is a movie that I have covered on Superhero Rewind. At some point, though, I need to go back in and take the screenshots out because that was during the period where I was doing video and over on Blip, and so all that's there right now is the audio. But I did use some of the music because that wasn't going to get me copyright flag. And anyway, I mentioned that to say that I've already said my piece on this and analyzed it, so I'm going to let you guys do most of the talking this time.
But I'm going to say that there is going to be very little to no analysis coming from this side of the room. That's not possible for me.
No?
No.
You just like it too much on... I mean, is it just a goofy surface level, or do you appreciate it for the poignancy that's there?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's stuff. I mean, it... We'll
see if Eric agrees with it, but I think there's, as bizarre as this movie is, there's some real poignancy.
There is. Yeah, I mean, there's enough to keep you interested and keep you thinking throughout it. But the rest, I mean, if you like a lot of not making sense, that's in there.
That's true, although it is... The more times I've seen it, Eric, the more stuff I thought made no sense starts to come together.
And there's a lot of stuff that...
That villain plot was like nothing the first time I saw it. Like, I don't know what in the world I'm looking at.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff in there that it just comes out of nowhere and it's completely random, and yet after you've watched it enough times, you kind of think, maybe they're being symbolic with that somehow. But yeah.
Yeah, I definitely picked up on some symbolism and some allegory this time that I had not picked up on before. So, should we do a quick synopsis on this? Especially because I'm sure, like the last couple, we've been doing a lot of B movies lately.
The next one will not be. The next one is a big movie.
Okay, cool. But I guess we should let people know what in the world happens in this. Do you want to help me out? Give a little bit of a synopsis.
Someone will need to help us out.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No, we can try.
And then we'll jump to Eric and find out what Eric's impression, because I cannot wait to see what I was picking up on a little bit of how Eric was experiencing this as we were watching it, but I cannot wait to hear what Eric has to say.
You told me before you have trouble reading me watching a movie.
Yeah, I don't think I did entirely with this one though. But we'll see. But I don't know what you're gonna say. I'm looking forward to that. So, we've got a washed out superhero who was really popular and important in World War II era, and the movie opens with like 10 minutes of
background footage, like old newsreel style. Yeah. This is the background for this movie.
And it starts with, he's solving all of our problems for us, and then it ends with, we've decided that he is a communist, and he wears a red cape, and we've got to get rid of him. And so he becomes this washed-out superhero that nobody cares about anymore.
Yeah.
And he becomes a drunk on the street.
Yeah, and so drunk he doesn't know the difference between New York City and Sydney, Australia.
And is there for decades.
Yes. And so then we have this terrible...
Which makes the opening bit when he's singing New York, New York a lot funnier.
Yeah, so then we have this terrible crime committed. Oh no, there's a hypno-ray that was stolen.
Hypno-ray.
Hypno-ray. And so they call him back to solve the world's problems. And it turns out that his old arch nemesis is up to no good, and so he has to stop him from ethnically cleansing New York City.
And importantly, it's a musical.
Yes, which you don't know until
about 20 minutes in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the first song can hardly be called a song, and yet it is a song. And so you're wondering, the first time you see it, you're like, wait, is this
exactly
supposed to be a song?
Yeah.
Did you remember that I told you that this was a musical?
Well, I thought Because I want to say I made a comment about being musical, and you were like, well, kind of. And I was like, okay, maybe there's a song in it. Like Christopher Lee sings a song.
Yeah.
I think it thinks, for what, and this is ridiculous, that over the opening credit sequence, the big bombastic score with a little bit of New York in it, and Alan Arkin as drunk as possible going, New York, New York, is enough to tell you that you're watching a musical. I think it thinks that.
Well, it certainly would be a fun play on the opening number for a musical.
Yeah.
Like you get this big bombastic thing, except it's a drunk guy on the mountaintop.
Yeah, but it should have been more produced, I think, to make us, sure that it was. Anyway, so we'll get into some.
I don't think we needed to be sure.
We'll get into some actual reviewing here in a second, because I'm interested to see what Aaron thinks about that and a lot of other things.
Yeah.
So let's start there. Like get into your general takeaway, but before that, just how did you feel about the fact that it turns into a musical? Because I know you were really kind of sandblasted by that.
Well, it's that first song where I was just like, is this just like tiptoeing into being a musical? Which is kind of what it is.
Yeah.
Doing. Yeah, I want to say I got the impression it was a musical, and then once I'd said something about being a musical, and you're like, well, kind of. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe it's not a musical. I would argue it's kind of not a musical.
Except that, people break into song, there's no discussion about it. It starts to happen more frequently as we move along, but it's not a musical in the sense that all of the dialogue is leading to the big numbers like a lot of musicals do. Mm-hmm. Not to say that we're telling a lot of story in our songs, but the songs are very often thematically.
Well, and we don't do the thing where
like not even just thematically related, but much of the time
sometimes actually driving plot.
Yeah, well,
or
okay, a little bit, but I was just gonna say like for lack of a better word, kind of spelling out what our characters are thinking and feeling.
Yeah.
Well, we don't do the thing that we do in musicals where you start the music slightly, people are talking, then they're kind of sing-talking, and then they start singing.
There's some of that.
I feel like mostly it's like having a conversation, and you turn to the screen and you start singing.
No, that's true, but at least 2 or 3 numbers there's a little bit of a lead-in, like the policewoman song. The intro to that song starts before she starts singing. Mm-hmm. You do have some of that.
But most of the song starts, I was like, oh, we're singing now.
Yeah. No, that's
it's a little true.
Well, and it's weird with the BS song, because this is a weird movie to talk about on our channel, because we can't swear. There's a lot of, well, not even, there's not, I don't even want to say there's a lot of S words and D words. That's
it's a very 80s PG.
Yeah. But besides the nudity.
I still feel like that's kind of 80s PG.
Well, that's true. It's just amusing that it got a PG rating.
Yeah.
Because you'd think that stuff combined might have gotten it to the R plays. Even at that
I think
point.
Outlaw Josie
Even
Wales
in
is
87.
PG, and what's that now? Outlaw Josie Wales. It's a Clint Eastwood Western. I think it's PG, and
I've heard of it. I just haven't seen it.
There's like a full blown kind of rape scene in that movie.
Oh wow!
But the rest of the movie is like a PG Western, and I think that's a PG.
Well, and this is pretty much just kind of gratuitous chest stuff, really.
Yeah, for one scene.
Well, yeah, as far as straight up nudity, mm-hmm. and then we keep coming up with excuses
to rip open
tops off.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do a whole lot of that stuff.
Man, we get into a lot of conversations that they are not normally on Geekvolution, and he made me watch.
Yeah, and this one
wasn't my pick.
No, and this particular conversation specifically, like coming up with excuses for people to start taking their clothes. It seems like that comes up a lot. But anyway, what I was going to say is, it's weird that the BS song, which you're calling, and I agree with you, pretty much the first song, is immediately followed by another song, which is a full-blown, kind of Rocky Horror Picture Show sort of song.
Yeah.
There's a couple of those, and then beyond that, we kind of jump all over the place genre-wise. Mm-hmm. It's very Dr. Horrible like that.
Yeah. Of all the songs, I really like his first song.
I do too.
Good guys and bad guys.
Yeah,
I was wondering if and it's weird because it's country.
Mm-hmm. I'm not really a country guy, but occasionally I can dip into country.
Especially if the lyrics are that good.
Yeah. I mean, like I like Johnny Cash. Like I there's a little bit of liking country in me, not much. But
it's a good introduction to his values.
Yeah, well, and where he is at that point.
Right.
And kind of what the movie's supposed to be about.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really get into that. I don't know how the president is a good guy.
Well, he's not.
He's more on that side than he is. He's not like a bad guy. And that guy looks so evil, I assumed
that's true.
he would be a bad guy.
But
That's true, but he's definitely corrupted by the system. I mean, or affected by it. He's cynical, and the interesting thing about him is he doesn't think he is, and he's holding to those. He's holding this to nostalgia and kind of old world values, but he's been taken in by the system. Like he was this idealist as a kid that wanted to be president, gets to be president, and he's changed by it.
Well, and he has the best / worst politician smile.
Yes.
Yeah, he's got a real great, terrifying politician smile.
Yeah, I think he's one of those examples of just how blurred the lines have gotten in this Captain Invincible modern universe.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't make it clear enough that that's what's supposed to be going on early enough. But I mean, by the end, you remember Captain Invincible has this kind of like, don't call me, I'll call you bit with him. And remember he hangs up on him earlier.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're right. I can see why you might have expected him to just go straight up evil.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be like in on it. And especially when he was like, yeah, nobody's ever heard of this Mr. Midnight guy, whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, so he is a bad guy.
But then the problem with that is, why would he bring in the one person who could defeat the villain?
Yeah.
So I have seen him in one other thing.
Okay.
And I talked about this when I did the rewind on the thing I'm about to tell you about. But do you remember this?
I don't remember.
Okay, he is the lead henchman of the Clock Kings in the 60s Batman Clock King episode. It's great. Anyway,
I forgot about that.
There's this movie is full of people where I'm like, I've seen them in something. Probably 80s movies of lesser renown all around this. So do you want me to get into like my general?
Yeah, what kind of an experience was this for you?
Okay, so I loved this movie.
I thought you might.
It's kind of the most me thing you've shown me.
Interesting. There were I had a very different experience watching it with you, because there were bits where I was like, oh wait, that's an Eric thing.
It's very pulp serial. It's got a main character that hates himself.
Yeah.
It's got a main character that hates himself. And just kind of the big cartooniness of it. I mean, Christopher Lee's kind of playing a Bond villain in a way. And also playing bigger than a Bond villain, maybe. He may be the source / root of all evil.
That's a good point. Yep.
And
I don't know how literal he's being in that song where he's talking about evil before the void and all that. Yeah.
They're both talking about it. It's
yeah, but with Captain Invincible, it's because he sees things in black and white.
It's a little sleazy and trashy, and like it's very much my thing in a lot of ways. It's a bad movie. I think if it went slightly to the left or slightly to the right, this could be a genuinely great film.
I think so too.
I think if it was more serious, it was not a musical, I think it could be slightly more serious and just a pulp hero coming back and dealing with a pulp villain in the modern world and dealing with old sensibilities, new sensibilities, that kind of thing. Yeah. I think it'd be great. I think if it had a little bit better music and had more songs and was slightly more absurd, it could be a really great comedy. It kind of sits in this place where I'm like, well, it doesn't look incredibly cheap. Like, there's sets, there's a little bit more production design than I would have expected from it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It like sits in this middle where I'm like, if it went this way or this way, it would be like one of my favorite things. But as it is, I still really like it. I think it's great.
Does the farcical nature of it work with the fact that it's actually about something?
I think it can. I don't think it works as well as it could, especially with the ending. the ending doesn't touch on or build on any of the points. He just shows up and stops the bad guy, and then he goes and gives a speech about how, like, we've come through all this together. Well, no, we didn't. It wasn't a thing about, like, getting out of the muck or anything like that. He just stopped the bad guy the same way he always would have.
Yeah, but
his speech should have been a song.
That's totally fair. And into the megaphone.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that would have been great. But I will disagree with you slightly in saying that he's not saying, you know, look what teamwork did for us. He's saying that this is the kind of thing. He talks about like how in a song earlier he's talking about like what makes us easy targets, and that's what he's talking about at the end, where he's like, if we don't band together, this will just keep happening, and I mean, the only character he's really inspired by and sees any hope for humanity in is the cop. I like that they're not ultimately together at the end.
Yeah.
That always surprised me.
Yeah.
I expected a sex scene, like a full-blown sex scene.
Yeah. Maybe a singing sex scene.
Sure. Sure. In this movie, why not? Yeah, absolutely.
I thought he was really good.
He's really good.
Especially early on when he's playing like drunk and homeless. I think he's really, really good.
And I think he and Christopher Lee are great foils for each other. Like
they are, and Christopher Lee
that is a really good arch nemesis superhero kind of relationship. If this was a comic book, you'd buy it, right?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. It's probably written by Joe Casey.
But also those actors.
Well, and Christopher Lee is enjoying being here, which is not a given with Christopher Lee.
Really?
Yeah, no, you see movies where he's
reading kind of
lines. Yeah, I mean, this is the man who has more screen credits than anyone else on the planet. No, I've seen things, some of those Dracula movies, he just shows up, he doesn't even speak. He doesn't want to be there. He's enjoying being here. Now, he might only be enjoying being here because he can sing, and I think he likes to sing. He's not any good at it, but I think he likes it.
You're right. Some of the big, and I've seen not enough things to be credible, you know, from Christopher Lee, but it seems to me like not just singing, but there's a couple of other like kind of staples of his that he's getting to do here. He gets to speak in a lot of foreign languages. I mean, well, mostly German, but I mean, like he gets to do a lot of like really dramatic, albeit goofy soliloquies. I don't know why, but he's so into it when he's just reading a number from a bank account. Well, one of my favorite things is just him going dash.
And he's enjoying it. Like, he's almost always got, like, a smile or almost a smile on his face.
Yeah.
Like, compare that to, like, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. He does not want to be in that movie. He doesn't care. I mean, he's, like...
It's also much later in his
He's,
career.
like, 680 in that movie, but...
Yeah. And I'm not saying that he wasn't enjoying any movies he was doing at that point.
Oh, no. He's clearly having a ball in Lord of the Rings. I mean, that's a very different kind of role. But he's getting to be the villain. I mean, he's the villain a lot, but... I'm not sure he really cared in Star Wars.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah, with that directing.
With some of that writing.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing about the songs, is they're not exactly well composed, but they're not particularly greatly written either. Well, while we're watching, I was like, there's a universe where this...
I do think there are 2 or 3... There's at least 1 or 2 songs that are legitimately decent songs.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any song without, like, a couple, like, 1 or 2 points where I'm like... I don't think that was the right word. That didn't fit there.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I think there's a couple poor word choices. I mean, I've only seen it once, but I was going somewhere with
the universe in which.
Oh yeah, I said so. We're watching. There's like a universe in which this is really popular and everyone knows this movie. Rocky Horror's like the one that nobody's heard of.
I think so too.
Well, except Rocky Horror has really catchy music, and I don't know if it's up to the level of Rocky Horror on. Musically.
Do you think this could have caught on more and
if it had better music?
And who knows why it ended up being so underground and people didn't find out about it. I mean, it might have just been so, poorly advertised and just not shown in enough places that people didn't know about it. I find out about it because of my my Uncle Steve, Jeff's brother, who's really into a lot of, lots of movies, but really obscure stuff like this. And he finds things like this and sends it to me.
Yeah, this seems like a movie that I would have found and
he's
then
the guy who
shown
sent me
you.
one of the Gamera movies.
Oh, okay.
He really likes stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no. It was kind of weird watching where I was like, this feels like something that I would have seen and then shown Cap.
Made me watch.
Yeah.
And it's weird because when I first watched it, Steve sent it to me, and I was like, and I wasn't doing Superhero Rewind yet, so I wasn't in the like watch every superhero movie place yet. But he said, it's a musical, it's bizarre, you have to sit down and watch it. So I watched it by myself, and I got halfway through it and was like, I'm never showing my wife this movie. I thought, I don't know, just like nudity and lewd stuff, and it doesn't get nearly as lewd as this is not trauma by any stretch.
No. There are some jokes that went further than I would think they would. That he's not Jewish. That's probably the lewdest they get, I think.
And right after, and they mix that stuff in with
a food fight.
Really silly puns too that you could see in a kids movie. Like right before that, he throws the symbol for pie in a food fight.
Yep.
But I don't know. I don't even know how you ended up seeing it. Like how you got roped in, because I was like, I'm not going to show this to my wife, and I like was avoiding showing it to you.
Yeah.
And when for whatever reason you finally did, you were like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. I just immediately fell in love with this movie. And
Why is
haven't
this
stopped watching it
the
yet.
greatest thing ever?
Well, you watched it. It's amazing.
No, I'm with her, man. This is really good.
There's no explaining it. You just have to watch it.
I've been trying to get Sarah to articulate this forever.
Some of the bad movie stuff, I think, is somewhat of a benefit.
It is kitchen sinky, right?
Oh yeah, but like where I was talking about, like it could be really amazing if it went this way or this way. Part of what makes it work a little bit as it is that it's not a musical until 20 minutes in. Like, things like that, like, keep it being like...
It's just all
this is
wrong.
weird. Yeah.
It's entirely wrong, and it works so well, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
I think we're more impressed with the character and thematic stuff because it sideswipes you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're not expecting anything like an actual story.
Well, how is it...
You're not expecting it to hit you in a place like... This is more... Some of the stuff here about cynicism and where we've gone as a nation and people being kind of all out for themselves and not trying to help each other. I kind of feel like it means more to me than it might have in 1987.
Well, and
I was 3, but if I were,
I don't know, because this comes out in 87.
Yeah.
In the same way that I've talked about how like 1999 was like the year that everyone in cubicles decided they hated everything.
Yeah.
There's Watchmen, there's Dark Knight Returns, there's Wild Cards. Like, this is the year where we decide superheroes, and going back to like the World War II, like there's something to say with all of that, and we're all doing it in different ways. But
RoboCop's right around then.
Yeah. I think there's something in the water at that point. Like this. It's strange because this feels very of its time, not in a dated way, but in a zeitgeisty way. How is it that like this film, that first act where he's kind of homeless, that does all of that as well, if not better, than the first act of Hancock.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's a big budget movie with Will Smith.
That's a great point. Hancock kind of is this movie in some ways.
It's a self-serious version of this movie, and without the
is trying to be a comedy to some degree.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's also not it's not as throwbacky to like the pulp heroes sensibilities, but the character stuff a little bit early on is very similar.
And this doesn't fall into the trap of the mythology taking over.
No, I love the mythology, and I want more of it.
It's so absurd.
Because it's absurd, and you get the impression that someone thought about this. Someone knows what the deal with Midnight is. Someone knows what the aliens are. And
what the alien sidekick guy is?
Yep.
With the puppet face?
Yep.
See the puppet face? Yeah, he's got prosthetics. But there's Midnight has this sidekick guy. I don't think I talked about this in the rewind, and I did not notice what we picked up on this time. I picked up on so much more this time, and I've probably seen this, I hate to say it, like 8 times.
Why do you hate to say that?
Because
it's such a weird
probably
thing.
Half those times I made him put it in the player.
Yeah, she made me watch, and I was like, Sarah, we can't. We talked about making a video series at that point. I was like, we can't do Captain Invincible every time, So I'm sorry. This is the 5th time you've had to listen to us talk about this movie on camera, but not in post the other ones.
And every video starts with,
now.
"So what is it that's so great about this movie?"
I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm gonna write a book called "What's So Great About It." Good question. The subheading. The question no one else has ever asked. But you've got this alien sidekick guy that Midnight, I want to say, runs around with. He never leaves his facility.
Yeah.
And then when we get the flashback to the origin of how Captain Invincible gets his powers, which is insane, by the way.
Yeah.
The smoking, you guys. The alien. There are these aliens, and they all look like just humans with aluminum foil. And then there is an alien that I swear to God is the exact same prosthetics.
Yeah.
Just standing in the background. Is it the same guy?
It is the same.
Are you sure?
I think there's a line in there about between Mr. Midnight and that guy.
About
After that, just about
what, his coming to Earth or something?
pretty much. Yeah.
Because the only time he really
Well, none of the other
It's-
aliens
it's-
look like him.
It's
Yeah.
right, but it's during that scene when they're watching that weird video during dinner about genetic experimentation.
Right,
and the
right.
guy's covering his eyes, and that's when Midnight has that line. I can't remember exactly what
But
it is.
I was.
It's something about you were better than them, or you were slightly better.
Yeah, but it
than
doesn't
them.
tell you where he came from, and
no,
because it
but-
was in the middle of a discussion about genetic engineering, I thought it could easily have gone to that place where like
he
he
was an
was
experiment,
an experiment himself. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I took that to mean like he was with those aliens that came down, and so his species or whatever was far superior.
That's not there though.
Well, I mean, it's not explicitly there.
I'll have to watch it again.
Yeah, we can do it
But
tomorrow.
but anyway, well, I don't want to get too far or too into that line. But like, but all that line was don't feel bad, you're superior to them. That doesn't tell us anything.
Yeah, well, aliens are always superior to humans, and so that means he's an alien, right?
Well, maybe it's don't feel bad, you're superior to them in like the things that they've done to humans, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? But it is kind of interesting if he is from another world and working with Midnight, and Midnight calls him superior, given that he is kind of the white supremacist guy.
Yeah.
And so I mean like if he's and they don't go real into what exactly he thinks like the superior race is.
Well, he says genetically American.
Yes.
Does he? Oh,
Which
that's
is
right.
just
Says
Yeah.
genetically
ridiculous,
American.
and
Yeah.
So it's
Yes.
hilarious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. That is hysterical. But he is trying to get rid of like every other ethnicity.
Yes.
See, I didn't
And
pick
it
up on
took
that
me
stuff.
3 watches. Okay, so the deal is, you remember? Stop me if you figured this part out, but because it took me like don't take this personally. It took me 3 watches before Sarah had to explain it to me. It wasn't even watches. I probably would have watched it 5 times. Sarah had to explain this to me. Then this is why I saw things this time where I was like, you know what? More of this movie makes sense. The villain plot, I got 2% of it the first time I watched it. This movie was milk the first time I saw it. But so Eric, you remember the bit at the very beginning about the help me out.
The henchmen? Are you talking about that part where they're making the neighborhoods alternative?
Yeah, where they're trying. I was trying to think of the right word where there's like an area that they're trying to get a bunch of different people to buy houses in.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They're all different ethnicities.
Oh, they're getting all the ethnicities live in one place because that's what they're going to attack.
because they're gonna blow them up.
And so
Makes
that's
sense.
why
Okay.
in his
Okay.
little scale model, he has like little peninsulas, and each peninsula has a different ethnicity living in it separately.
And I think the idea was supposed to be that it wasn't actually one building in one neighborhood where they just kept putting a different ethnicity to fit I think that building every time was supposed to be in a different place and they just kept redressing it.
Yeah.
I think that was the idea. Do you mean they had that one bit with like Afro Acres and they had all these different places?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Sicilian acres.
And so, they would go to different places where mostly one race would have congregated
Yeah.
and made a neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then they're trying to.
You blow them up from the submarine.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I think part part of what this makes us feel is a comedy. Like, the way I've always heard you talk about, I thought it was a bad movie that, like, you're laughing at.
Mm-hmm.
But there's, like, the narrator. If this was a serious movie, a narrator showing up occasionally and giving you no information would be really bad. But it's a comedy, so, like, when the narrator first comes in, it's like 30 minutes into the movie.
It even gets away with the obvious flashbacks because of that.
Yeah, but like, if the narrator comes in like 30 minutes into the movie, and he narrates something, like a normal narrator, and it's like, well, why is there a narrator? Every other time the narrator comes in, it's a joke.
Yeah.
Like, it's not... It's almost not a bad movie. Like, it's not a movie you're laughing at, you're mostly laughing with it.
Yeah, because it is a farce.
And it knows what it's doing for the most part.
It seems to be making fun of very specific things and turning things on their head.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see how self-aware it is.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, it's doing that with so many different things.
Yeah, it's not even like a genre parody.
Mm-hmm.
It is whatever it feels like
It's a
doing
bunch
something
of
with.
different genre parodies all at the same time. I mean, it's got the Indiana Jones stuff with the vacuum hoses
Mm-hmm.
and obviously the superhero stuff. I think as
Why
far
didn't
as
even get Indiana Jones off that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the vacuum
Yeah,
going through the
vacuum
skull.
going through the skull.
Yeah, no, that makes
And then the
complete sense.
one, the Cobra-esque
Yeah,
vacuum.
yeah, no, I got that.
I don't think that would actually suck all the air out of the room.
I don't
that
think
was so
that.
funny.
I don't think that works. Although I love when he gets one on the neck and he's like, "This sucks."
It's the pits.
Oh, that was great
The
too.
giant peach pit?
Yeah, he's got a bunch of pits and he keeps dropping them into him. Then he goes peach pit, and then there's a giant peach pit, and then drops on him. Well, not on him. He dodges it.
We decided that Captain Invincible has two major weaknesses. The first is alcohol, which I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But the second, and by the end, I think the larger problem really is trap doors.
Yes, he never looks where he's walking, ever.
You know, and this is a big stretch maybe, but that actually could potentially be kind of a symbolic thing for the way his life keeps going. Where he's not watching where he's going, and he keeps falling into trapdoors. Like he keeps trusting people and things too much.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's intentional, but that might actually be there. It's just a more thoughtful movie than you
I
would expect.
I don't think that's intentional because it doesn't keep coming up. It's only in the end.
That's true.
We just keep doing trapdoors, and I think that's more there
just a
because that's the
joke.
trope. The bad guy's always got a trapdoor and a death trap because I think there's.
And it's funny because he has like 6 of them.
Well, and I think once he gets away from the vacuums, Christopher Lee says like, "I'll set another trap for him," or like it's all about death traps. It's a death trap villain. I enjoy death trap villains.
Yeah.
There's a The Shadow comic called, I don't know what it's called. It might just be it's Blood and Justice, something like that. It comes out in the 80s, and it's a similar kind of a plot, but really serious and weird. Weird in a different way. But the whole thing is that like the Shadow goes away, and then he comes back, and there's a villain kind of from the past in the modern day. Also came out in 86.
Interesting.
Yep. It's a Chaykin comic.
So, looking at this specifically as a superhero movie for a minute, it's interesting to, with the historical context, kind of go back and look at this being as we said, a spoof of a lot of different things. But of course, obviously, we're making fun of a lot of superhero stuff, and like there are some things that I think are funny. Or maybe more funny than they are now because we're so superhero happy in the culture now that I think you would have heard more of it. Like the whole like what are you a captain of thing, like that's funnier then.
I don't feel like that joke comes up nearly enough at this point. Like how
really?
often do you hear that joke? I mean, I feel like we make people make it. I don't feel like it's in the movies.
Well, no, not really. But I'm just saying, I think it's a thing people have thought about enough that it's maybe not as funny. Like
I really liked
your cape is red. Like I don't know. I don't know that that's as funny now. It's funny to me.
I think the opening is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. That whole opening, like regardless of how I feel about the rest of the film, the opening is genuinely great. Like whatever movie comes after that, that opening is great.
One of the things I was always impressed with about this
It's
is
very
that
incredible.
we haven't had very many superhero movies before this. It's kind of surprising that we produced the culture produced this, because a lot of things that it's making fun of. I mean, obviously there's a lot of 70s Superman.
Oh yeah,
we're not even a decade past that.
Swimming through the air.
Yeah, and we just straight up, and I probably talked about this in the rewind, we just straight up did, in that scene, a spoof of Can You Read My Mind? You said that.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's flying around with her on his back the whole time.
I think that song is hilarious because at some point he almost gets to a place where he's not even singing lyrics anymore, and he's just like, singing in the blue. I don't even know what this is about anymore. In the blue.
Yeah.
But I don't think this movie would be the same if Batman had come out already.
No.
It's 2 years before that.
Yeah, no.
I think that's really interesting. I think it's interesting that it's a superhero spoof for adults when we haven't had a whole lot of superhero movies straight up for adults yet.
Yeah.
And the alcoholism thing is really interesting to me because I think, and I'd never thought of this before, I think in his day, Alan Arkin would have been the perfect Tony Stark.
Yeah. Based on this, absolutely. Yeah. That shot when he's on the ground, they cut back to him and he's the homeless man again. I think that's a great shot. And there's some
we get into this character's head some. I mean,
there's some shooting in this film that I was kind of impressed by. The song that goes back and forth, the Midnight song.
Mm-hmm.
The way they shoot Midnights is, I mean, it looks like a music video that could have been on MTV at that time. Like it looks like an Alice Cooper video or like something like that.
Yeah, it's also really Broadway.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, a Broadway musical with really dark stuff in it.
Yeah.
It's kind of Cats, I don't know.
I hate Cats.
I hate Cats too.
It's good.
It's not a good example or anything. No, I always liked that song a lot. I was more impressed this time with the editing. Like I noticed more.
Yeah.
With that
there's
time.
a little bit I feel like when they cut back and forth where they've never made a musical before. Where like one of them finishes their line, they cut back, and there's like a beat, and then the next line starts.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of that.
And there's some bad cutting in this movie. There's
some bad cutting in this movie.
There's this weird bit with Christopher Lee where we're a close up on his face in one scene, and we just cut to his walking into his office in the next scene. It's or like already at his like walking into his desk, and I was just like, that's a bad cut.
Yeah.
You went from a character to the same character.
Yeah, the one thing that takes me out a lot is the difference in sound quality between the speaking and then the music, because it's just you hear them and there's a certain sound to it, and then all of a sudden it's this clear quality. So.
Although they probably didn't do that on purpose, but they could have done that on purpose as a joke.
That's true.
I mean, that's the thing is that it's there's some stuff about this that is I don't like review proof, but it's almost kind of that.
Yeah.
There's
because that is a problem musicals have.
There's a lot of stuff where you're just not sure if it's bad or intentional.
Mm-hmm.
There's quite a few things.
And I think it's coasting on that. Like, I think it knows that.
Like some of
we
it
can get away with this because so much of what we're doing is... Like, it doesn't hide behind that a little bit.
I don't know. Are there any special features? I mean, I assume not.
No, unfortunately not.
There's new widescreen transfer. There's a theatrical trailer. I wonder what the trailer of this looks like.
I've seen it.
Is it?
Yeah, it's funny. And they didn't know how to sell it.
I'm sure not.
But,
You sell it.
It is... Challenge accepted! It is... What was I gonna say? It is a crying shame that the soundtrack to this has never been released.
Oh, yeah.
And
I agree.
I cannot find the music anywhere. Like the
because otherwise
the
I would have gotten it for my birthday a long time ago.
A long time ago, yeah. Yeah, you can't listen to the songs. We have had a newly recorded and digitally produced Danger Diabolic soundtrack at this point, and we don't have this, and that is unfortunate.
Yeah.
I wonder if the masters are still around.
I don't know. Are there even like tracks on YouTube like that you could rip that aren't like great quality, but like you could throw on your phone or something?
Well, I mean, the only thing you could do is get it from the disc. Do it yourself. I mean, at least there's not sound effects and things during songs. So I mean, yeah, I could do it. I mean, I could rip it, and it would sound okay. But like, it'd just be nice if they released because It'd be nice if they released it also with the orchestral soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean that's true. I guess you could. You could just rip the songs.
So to get into a little bit of negatives.
Yeah, sure.
I know there aren't a lot, but to get into a couple of negatives. I don't get or don't like the whole voice-coded powers. Because originally I thought it was just like he couldn't remember like the things that he says. Like
and they can't decide which of those things it is.
No, sometimes it is voice-activated powers, and sometimes it is this is just the thing he says.
Because he's able to use those powers without the voice command, because sometimes he'll say the wrong one, and then another power will activate.
Yeah, I'm also not sure what a supercomputer brain is.
But it does get stuck.
Yeah, it does get stuck. But there's definitely if I trimmed or cut anything from this movie, it'd be that like training stuff. Like I didn't need any of that.
I didn't either.
I was happy it didn't go to.
Although magnetizing the gun to the side of his head, that's pretty funny.
No, that was funny. Everything coming to him was funny. But I don't know, that stuff kind of felt slow, and I was like, oh, he doesn't know how to use his powers? Like, that's way less interesting. Like, I kind of wish he just came back and knew how to do everything and was just dealing with the world. The whole not knowing how to use his powers is kind of strange. I mean, but it was really the voice-activated powers. Like, sometimes it's a catchphrase, but sometimes it's an activation code. I don't know.
Yeah, like, his just not using his powers at all for so long and then being, like, really rusty, like, that could work. They try to play it for absurd comedy, and I think that's a place where the absurd comedy just isn't working. Mm-hmm. Especially because the first time he's used his powers in decades, as far as
he lifts up a car and puts it back down.
Yeah, and he does that intentionally.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have super strength, so he did that with his magnetism.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that until just now, but he doesn't have super strength. Oh, well, no, he must, though, because you run through a brick wall.
Yeah. He has super strength.
Yeah, I guess he does have super strength.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, he doesn't flex it a lot, though.
No.
Like, his main powers are magnetism and the computer brain and flight. And the flight could come from the magnetism. Like, he honestly could just be Magneto.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really need the computer brain thing. It's kind of weird. He's actually Magneto and Professor X at the same time. He even has a Cerebro.
Yep.
It doesn't read minds, but he sort of has a Cerebro that enhances his amazing computer brain.
Why didn't Magneto just make things explode?
I don't know, because he can make things
like
explode
real
that
magnets.
would not explode.
Yeah. Well, there's in the opening where we're going through all the newsreel stuff. There's a point where he just throws like a dude into a shed and then the shed explodes.
Yeah, and my favorite bit with that is the syringe that makes the computer console explode.
That's not even him doing it. It's
Just
just the
get
guy.
it in there. He takes the syringe and sticks it into a computer, and it blows up.
Everything makes everything blow up.
Yeah.
Well, that's a joke too, you know, because that happens in a lot of action movies.
Yeah.
It's just things exploding and actually that happens in Superman 2. There's I think it's Superman 2 during the Zod fight where and I don't know if it's also in the Donner cut, but I'm pretty sure it's in the Lester cut, where there is a big, I'm trying to remember what it is, if it's just like a big steel beam or what it is. There's a thing that gets thrown at Superman and it explodes, and it does not look like something that would explode. And I was like, how would that explode?
It's just we gotta stop making everything out of C4. That's really what it is we
It's like Star Trek, you got plasma conduits behind every console.
I know sometimes we feel like, well, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But really, we should finally move on from making everything out of C4. Because I think in this case it may be broke, and we should fix it.
Yeah, it seems kind of dangerous.
I know it's just how we've always done it, but...
Like, we shouldn't make, bottles that we drink out of.
Out of C4?
Hold on. Okay, we're good. Other negative things you wanted to talk about?
There was something else, but it has escaped my brain.
You haven't said very much.
There are no negatives.
I don't mean about that necessarily.
Okay. No, I'm good.
You just wanted to be here, eh?
Yes. In support of this movie.
I'm Sarah,
In solidarity.
and I approve people watching this. What is your favorite song?
It's a tie between Good Guys and the Bad Guys, and then the Evil Midnight Song. Those are the two best ones.
Yeah, Good Guys and Bad Guys is definitely my favorite still, I think.
I think it's probably, like, the best song. Like, not just that, like, I think it's the best, like, with the flow and the words and the music all coming together.
Because what's impressive about it is, this is after, of course, the BS song, and his, like, dancing all over a table and stuff. And I'm not, and even the first time I saw it, I don't think, I'm not listening to that song and watching that song for something funny to happen.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Like, I'm actually enjoying that on a dramatic level.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of a dramatic song. Like, it's not a funny song.
No. It's, I don't know, it's a shame that wasn't on, like, that could have been on the radio.
Yeah.
I'll go that
Yeah, I
far
agree.
with it.
Yeah. Maybe it could have used another verse if it
Yeah.
were on the radio. But
Yeah.
But it almost feels like a radio song where, because you get to the end and it's a repeated chorus, and you're like, it kind of sounds like this is supposed to be like a single.
Yeah.
So Sarah's face, since you're not saying a lot, I'll prompt you a little bit. Sarah cannot stop quoting the president all the time. Stop choking me, I'm your president. I'm your president!
Best line in the
She
movie.
says it all the time.
We need
It's
you
great.
real
We need
badly.
you real badly. That guy was cast on his giant mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many good one-liners in this thing. I mean, it's hard to stop quoting. I find reasons in my daily life to use Captain Invincible quotes.
Of the few people I've talked to that have actually seen this,
You sound like you're starting a PSA where it's like, and you can too. Just take a couple of minutes out of your day and use Captain Invincible quotes responsibly.
And if you
I
call it
wish
right now,
more
we'll
people
throw in
would
the
do
sequel
that.
that Eric and I are going to make by ourselves tomorrow.
I don't know if we can do it
For
do a
3.5.
sequel to this.
This one we could not do.
Yeah.
And not do it justice. Especially because this one,
It requires sets.
it requires acting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing that I love that I can say about it. It requires acting.
Yeah, no, Aaron Arkin's really good.
And if Christopher Lee's not the villain, I don't know that it works.
Yeah.
Or somebody to that caliber.
I don't know, he got a globe in his face. I'm not
Who's-
sure he's coming back from that.
That's true. I'm just saying that.
I love
like,
that it just
He got
hits him
the
and he
world.
falls over in the water and that's
Yeah.
just the end of the movie.
Today, New York.
no, that's right. He got the
Tomorrow,
world.
The world.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the dramatic irony of that. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's great. But yeah, it is impressive that the performances, most of them, are as good
actually
as they
pretty
are.
good, yeah.
And even the girl I'm okay with.
Yeah. I mean, she's nothing, but she's not annoying.
Except for her song, but
But the song's supposed to be annoying.
It's
they make it really clear that that's supposed to be the crappy song.
It's
Yes.
the Cheer Up Charlie.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yep.
Yeah, and all the overacting,
We've talked about how
gesturing
that we
goes
both
with it.
hate Cheer Up Charlie,
That
right?
we both fast forward through it
Yes.
whenever we
Don't
watch
watch
that
it.
movie.
Don't watch it.
In fact, it's been so long since I've heard that song, I'm having to continue to like muster hatred for it because I don't like. Okay, the melody is coming to my brain right now, but
It's just the worst, and I don't know anyone that likes that song.
Me neither.
Everyone I know
Nobody.
hates Cheer
I've
Up
only
Charlie.
actually
we
heard
will
it
finally
once.
find
And
someone.
I've watched that
there will
movie
be a comment.
like a
It's
half dozen
anyone like
times.
Cheer Up Charlie?
So,
I mean, I do the same thing with that awful musical that they threw in the Return of the Jedi in the special editions. I do not watch that.
Well, that's why I don't watch the special editions. If
I
can
don't
help
have
it,
the
but-
fancy schmancy DVDs you have.
Well, you live here. You can
That's
watch
true.
them.
That's true. I can finally watch them.
So the other thing I wanted to say is of the few people that aren't Sarah that I know that have seen this, and people online that I've seen say anything about this at all. It seems like the general consensus is that the best song in it is the Boo song at the end. Everybody loves that.
That's that
Because
one,
of the play on words and just Christopher Lee throwing himself into that crazy.
that one and the first one the president sings. Not the BS song, but the one after that.
Yeah.
Those two are the most Rocky Horror. Mm-hmm. Those ones are really Rocky Horror. So it would make sense, given how popular Rocky Horror is, that people would like that song.
Yeah. Yeah, the We Need a Hero song, you're right, that is very Rocky
Yeah,
Horror.
yeah.
Yeah, I want to say.
And maybe even a little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
I want to say I saw that alcohol song making the rounds on Facebook at one point.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, because somebody put that on YouTube.
Yeah.
That was one of the only things I could ever find from this movie that anybody had posted any place.
But it's on DVD. Is it readily available? Or is this like an out-of-print thing?
So the only way I've ever found it is in a 3-pack with 2 other really obscure movies, including The Howling 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Howling 2...
Or maybe Howling 2, I forget.
Howling 2
is that
stars...
the one with
Christopher Lee.
Christopher Walken?
No, Howling 2 is Christopher Lee.
Okay, there's another movie, I thought it was Howling, but there's also, because like I said, it was a 3-pack, there's another movie with Walken that's in that 3-pack.
Maybe he's in Howling 3, I don't know.
I have him downstairs, because that was the only way to get this, so my uncle sent me...
Oh, you mean it's actually a box set of 3 DVDs?
It's a box set of 3 DVDs.
Weird. I assumed you meant, other than this, you've only seen it where it's like the 3 movies in one thing.
No, I've only ever seen this packaged with those other 2 movies in individual boxes.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if it's come out any other way since then. And
It's probably on Blu-ray now.
We don't have a Blu-ray.
Dr. Mordred's on Blu-ray.
They could on the back. It could say "Into the Blu-ray."
Yeah.
Into the Blu-ray.
That's true. They could say that.
Yeah.
Do you want to comment on the cover?
I don't know if we should. It's so weird that we thought of it.
You could just read it.
I feel like maybe we should.
And let people comment on their own.
So with I'll just say this because I don't like to get real political on the channel.
No.
But I will say this. Eric was commenting, and I totally agree with him, in a number of places, how relevant this feels suddenly with the election we just had. And I was, and I like remembered this, but obviously I hadn't made this connection until now. The tagline at the bottom is "Everything's going to be just great again." And I just can't even believe that's the anyway. Anything else you guys want to say about that?
Well, I never flipped my sign.
Go ahead,
I know.
yeah.
I'm sure it's a big toss up. I'm feeling this. Absolutely.
I'm glad you liked it. I would love to see it return in comic book form. I
agree.
I feel like you could do a sequel in comic book form. I mean, you wouldn't have music, but the nice thing is, I don't think it requires music. I think you could even make a. If there was a film sequel, I'm not saying make it now, but if there was a film sequel to this, or even a remake, I hate to say, it wouldn't have to have music.
I think this is a film that could be remade.
Yeah.
And improved upon a little bit.
Yeah, now that I say, it's just the only reason I hesitated was Christopher Lee, but.
Well, you do something. You get something different. It'd be a slightly different thing.
Yeah.
Ian McKellen.
Ian McKellen would be great. Yeah, absolutely. Anything else you want to add?
You know what they say.
You know what they say.
No, I'm great movie. Everyone should check it out.
I agree.
Yeah. Don't make me use the Hypno-Ray.
I love the idea that where it really got me the first time I saw it, because I'm with you. I liked that opening. I thought it went on too long, and then the more I've seen it, the more I'm fine with it. But it took me a while to really know what it was and where I stood with it until the opening or the main bad guy plot at the beginning is somebody used a giggle gun to steal a Hypno-Ray. Okay, I'm in. I'm in.
Hypno-Ray.
Hypno-Ray. Everybody, thanks as always for watching. We sure appreciate it. Eric and I will see you again soon when Eric will be making me watch something, and I am looking forward to it.
You'll have heard of it, I promise.
We're going to break the vicious cycle, because 3 is a pattern, but don't worry.
Yeah.
After this. Thanks again for watching. We sure appreciate it, folks. I am Captain Logan.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Eric.
See you, folks.